Today on Confetti's Corner, we're going to look at hyperbolas. Now, some of the different parts of hyperbolas are the same and similar and use similar vocabulary as we've had in other shapes, and some of it's different. So let's take a look. So the actual hyperbola, I know this first one's marked up a lot, is this yellow highlighted, right? So this right here, that's the piece of the hyperbola, and so is that. Now, the other thing we have is we have the asymptotes, which means when we're looking at the hyperbola, which we highlighted in yellow, this piece right here and that piece right there, that line, we have two different lines, and they are the asymptotes. And what that means is that hyperbola on either side is going to go really, really close, but it's not going to touch it. Now, the foci, again, is going to be inside, right? Here's a focus and here's a focus. Going to be kind of inside the hyperbola. Now we have vertices and we have co-vertices. So we're going to talk about these. Really, we're going to focus on the vertices. We're not really going to worry about too much the co-vertices in this lesson. Okay, so one thing is that the center of the hyperbola is going to be equidistant from the foci. Okay, so if I have something like this, here's my center, and it's going to be equal distance or equidistant from the center to the foci, all the way to each focus, okay? All right, this, again, we've been working with a chart, so we know we have two different ways we can go, horizontal and vertical. Pay attention very carefully, because I know it looks a little bit like an ellipse, the equation, but we have a negative sign here. So whether X or Y comes first is definitely going to make a difference. So we have an X here, we have a Y here. If the X comes first, the orientation is going to be horizontal. If the Y, it's vertical. Again, we have, coordinates for our foci and our vertices, and we're going to talk about that. Also, when we're looking for our C value, that's the little equation we're going to use in previous shapes we've subtracted instead of added. So we have to keep all of that in mind. All right, so let's take a look at one. So it says graph and identify the parts of the hyperbola. So the first thing we can do is our center, and our center is going to be HK. So here's H, here's K. So we know we have 3, -2, right? I'm going to go back and use that formula at the top. Okay, now because my X value comes first, I know that this shape is going to be on the horizontal path there. So we know we're going to be okay. All right, now we're going to need the C value. So let's just find that now. So we have A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared, right? So this is going to be my A squared here. This is B squared. Again, I'm getting everything from this table up here. So I have 4 plus 16 is equal to C squared. 20 is equal to C squared. Square root of both sides. And using our calculator, I have C is equal to 4.5, about 4.5. All right, so we're going to need that. So let's first plot our center. We have 3, -2. So we're right here. Okay. Now let's go right down to our vertice and let's take a look at that. Okay, so my H value is 3. Plus or minus. My A value, A squared is 4, right? So A is going to be 2. So I have 3 plus or minus 2. My K value is -2. Okay, so that gives me 5, -2 is one vertice. And then I have 1, -2 is my other vertices. So I have 5, -2. And I have 1, -2. So you can see a couple things. They're in line with my center, and they're also equidistant from the center as well. Okay, so before we do the foci, let's actually go right down and look at our slope of the line. Okay, so we're just going to graph the line. And from here, we're going to go starting at the center. We're going to do the whole rise over run like you learned in Algebra 1. Okay, so our B value is going to be we have plus or minus 4, right? B squared is 16 over 2. So you have plus or minus 2, which is equal to, I don't know why that looks like that. Let's fix that up. So you have plus or minus 2 is my slope. So that's rise over run. And that's starting at the center. Starting at center. Okay, so my center is my pink point right here. So I'm going to go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. I'm going to keep going. Same thing down to the left 1, right? This is a positive slope. I'm going to do the same thing in the negative direction, right? Down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. So this slope has a slope of -2. And then I'm going to just dash it through, right? So these are my asymptotes right here. Okay, so now I have my vertices. So now I'm not really going to use a table. I just know that my um, a vertex is there, and I'm going to just make sure I have my lines are going to go right about there. Not going to be exact, but you get the general shape. So the blue, that is the hyperbola. I know we are doing a lot of things right here with a lot of labeling, but the blue part is my hyperbola. Okay. Now let's also take a look. Let's do a different color. We'll use purple. We'll do our foci. Okay, so my H value is 3, plus or minus. We found my C value right here, right? So I'm ready to go now. Plus or minus 4.5. And my K value is -2. So that gives me 7.5, -2. And I also have -1.5, -2. So let's plot that. 7.5 and -2. And then -1.5 and -2 as well. So again, you can see this is the foci here, and this is the foci here. Okay, so we know that, actually, this is going to be focus if there's just one. Sorry, focus. Foci is plural. Okay, so from here, again, the focus is going to be inside the hyperbola. Okay, we know it's inside hyperbola. So that's kind of help us to make sure we have the shape okay. Now, just another extra thing to note, my A value. Now, remember, my A value is 2 in this case, is the distance from the vertex to the center. Vertex to center is 2. Vertex to center is 2. And my C value is the distance from the focus to the center. So my C value is 4.5. So if we go here and we go 1, 2, 3, 4.5, that looks about right there. Same thing on the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 looks about right. Okay, so that's how you graph a hyperbola. All right, let's try another one. Now, in this case, and we've been doing this a lot, we're not giving you the perfect equation. So I have to set this up. Now, again, we can have x first or y first, and we said that hyperbola, it is important which one's first because we have a subtraction sign to see. So to make sure we have in the right spot. My y squared is positive. My x squared is negative. So because my y squared is positive, that's what I'm gonna list first. Okay. So I have 9y squared. I'm gonna pull out this -54y. We've been working with completing the square, so we're gonna do that as well. Leave a little bit of space. Then I have -4x squared plus 32x. Little bit of space. Now I know that I need my constant to the other side. That's going to be 19. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to factor out a 9, and I'm left with y squared minus 6. Oops, minus 6y. Sorry. And I'm going to leave a spot there. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to remember I need a negative. So I'm going to subtract, factor out a -4. And I'm left with x squared minus 8x. Leave a spot there equals 19. Okay, so completing the square. Half of -6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So if I take 9 times 9 here, then I'm going to add 81 to the other side. So this becomes 9 times the quantity of y minus 3 squared. Same thing for the other side. I have half of -8 is -4. -4 squared is 16. Okay, I have -4 times 16 is -64. So I have -4, x minus 4 quantity squared. Now, when I add 19 plus 81 minus 64, I end up with a positive 36. Now, if you go back to our little chart here, besides the subtraction sign, we need our right-hand side, our constant, to be 1. So right now, our constant is 36. So we've done this before in another shape. Everything divided by 36 with ellipses. So that gives me y minus 3 quantity squared over 4 minus x minus 4 quantity squared over 9 is equal to 1. Okay, so now we're ready to graph. So let's do a couple things. This is my a squared, right, because it's first. This is b squared. And so we know that our center right here, remember our x is first. So our center is going to be 4, 3. Now, because our y is first, this one's going to be more on the vertical side. It's going to be on the vertical side. Okay, so let's figure out our vertices. Okay, so we know my a value is equal to 2, right? And our center, remember this is hk. So h is 4, k is 3, plus or minus 2. So that gives me 4, 5, and 4, 1. Okay, our asymptotes, again, a over b. So my a is 2, right? My b is going to be 3, so we have plus or minus 2/3. Okay, so before we go to foci, let's start graph that. So we have my center is 4, 3, so we have 4, 3, we're right there. And then our vertices are 4, 5, and 4, 1. So 4, 5, and 4, 1. Now our slope is going to be 2/3, our slope of our asymptote, right? Because a squared is 4, and so a is going to be 2, and b squared is 9, so b is going to be 3. So the slope of that line is going to be plus or minus 2/3. We have 2 lines there. There's our slope. It's the same thing. So from here, I'm going to go up 2 to the right 3, up 2 to the right 3, down to the left 3, down to the left 3. So that's going to be 1. Do the same thing for the other one. That's a positive slope. Let's do a negative slope. Down 2 to the right. Oh, sorry, down 2 to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3, up to left 3. And again, we'll kind of dash that between. Okay. And I'll add arrows on the end, right? Because lines are ongoing. And let's do our hyperbola, right? So our hyperbola is going to be this purple. We have a general shape of it. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at our foci, our last thing. Okay. So our h value is 4. Oh, we never found our c value. We definitely need that, right? So let's do that now. So I have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. My a squared is 4. 4 plus 9 is equal to c squared. So 13 is equal to c squared, square root of both sides, and c is about 3.6. Okay, so our k value is 3 plus or minus 3.6. So we end up with 4, 6.6. And then we have 4 and negative 0.6. So let's see where that is. So we have 4 and 6.6 somewhere in here. That's a focus, right? And then 4 and negative 0.6. We have 4 and negative 0.6 somewhere in here. And that's, again, it's a focus. And again, that's right between, in between kind of that hyperbola. Okay, that's it for today. So hopefully that helped. Thanks for stopping by. You have a great day.